We've got a lot to cover with some exciting and controversial stories in the gaming world. First, we'll talk about the PlayStation 6, the latest PlayStation updates, and where the future of PlayStation is headed. We're also breaking down Helldivers 2's newest patch, and why it might be the best one yet. We'll dive into rumors surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows, and how it might be tied to Ubisoft's stock issues. On top of that, there's a brewing drama at CD Projekt Red over their hiring practices, and we'll take a closer look at whether the anti-woke crowd has pushed their criticism too far. There's a lot to unpack, so let's dive in. Now available to as many people as possible, especially that 30th Anniversary Pro bundle. If they did this, it would also decrease the number of scalpers and resellers. But alas, here we are. Was your pre-order canceled? If so, let me know in the comments. Moving on, let's talk about the PS6. The release of PlayStation 6 games that fully utilize its hardware will take time due to an extended cross-generation period, during which games will continue to be released for both the PS6 and PS5. This is primarily driven by the high cost of developing AAA games, often exceeding $100 million, and the need for publishers to maximize returns. Releasing games exclusively for the PS6 early on wouldn't make financial sense, given the limited number of early adopters. In addition, experts speculate that the PlayStation 6 will likely emphasize a more advanced PSSR tech, as seen in the PS5 Pro's upscaling technology. This focus marks a shift from traditional hardware improvements, such as increasing GPU power, which are becoming less cost-effective. So, if you thought the PS4 generation was long, just wait until you see how long the PS5 generation will be. As we move forward into blending generations, we won't see hardware left behind until it simply cannot run a game on the platform. This is great for those wanting to stick with their existing hardware, but it will undeniably impact those of us wanting the best of the best. With SSDs now standard in consoles, I expect we will at least enjoy shorter loading times. So Helldivers 2 just got a new update that wraps up the developer Arrowhead's 60-day improvement plan. Basically, they've been listening to player feedback and making changes to make the game more balanced, fun, and just better overall. This new patch is like the final touch for now, fixing some weapon stuff they didn't get to in the last big update in September. They made some tweaks to weapons and stratagems, those deployable things you can call in, to make them more interesting and effective. They've also worked on making the enemies less annoying to fight, especially those robot guys, automatons. Plus, they changed armor, so it actually matters more, making your gear choices feel more impactful when you're in the thick of battle. Some cool new features? A couple of weapons, like the GR8 recoilless rifle and the AC8 autocannon, now let you switch between different types of ammo mid-fight, so you can adapt on the fly. And the drones? Now you can toggle them on or off with backpacks, giving you more control. Even though this patch marks the end of their initial plan, Arrowhead made it clear they're still committed to updating and expanding the game. They hinted that they're excited about what's coming next for Helldivers 2 and the whole galactic war thing. That said, they didn't mention anything yet about the rumored new alien faction or the PSN review bomb cape issue, so some things are still up in the air. Oh, and if you're into weapon details, they made a bunch of changes to how guns work, like how plasma projectiles behave, and some balance tweaks to recoil, fire rates, and damage for a bunch of weapons. Overall, it seems like the game is in a much better place now, especially after that rough patch when people thought it had gotten too easy. They've really worked to get fans back into the game. And yeah, jetpacks got a boost. Cooldown is shorter, and you get more momentum when you jump, so that should be fun. So Sony just announced something super cool called PlayStation The Concert. Basically, it's going to be this huge high-tech concert series that features music from their big games, like God of War, The Last of Us, Horizon, and Ghost of Tsushima. Think of it like a live orchestra playing epic soundtracks from your favorite PlayStation titles, but with an insane light show, projections, and surround sound to make you feel like you're reliving those gaming moments in person. The tour kicks off in April 2025, starting in Dublin, Ireland on the 19th, and then they're doing a bunch of shows in the UK between April 21 and 27. From there, it's off to over 200 cities worldwide, hitting spots all over Europe and the US, but not all locations have been announced yet. They did reveal some European cities, including Amsterdam, Paris, Brussels, and a bunch of places in Germany, Italy, and beyond. Tickets are available starting October 16th for early access with a code that Sony made public at PlayConcert24, and then everyone else can snag theirs on October 18th. The whole thing promises to be a wild mix of music, visuals, and tech, making it feel like you're stepping back into those iconic PlayStation games. Should be pretty awesome. Lastly, I want to talk about Astro Bot. Astro Bot has had one of the most successful launches for a non-Mario 3D platformer platformer in Europe over the past decade. Sales are 34% higher than Sonic Frontiers and 52% higher than Crash Bandicoot 4 after 1 month. Despite Sony not releasing exact figures, the game has performed well in both Europe and the US and received high critical praise, with a 94 Metacritic score. Astro may not outsell Mario, but outperforming these massive platforms is still a huge win for Asobi. I believe PlayStation may be able to achieve Mario-level sales if they nurture and grow Team Asobi and allow them to explore and create even larger-scale platforms. They have earned that with the great meta score they achieved. I see an incredible studio capable of delivering high-quality games in less than 5 years. This studio can turn around a game much faster than others while achieving high Metacritic scores, and hopefully, over time, they will also accomplish significant sales volumes. Naturally, we won't know that until we see more projects from them. However, this being their first major game under Team Asobi is a huge accomplishment, and they have a lot to be proud of. This game could spiral into many other projects, potentially leading to more original IP from them, not just ones celebrating PlayStation heritage. Based on what they've done here, they've created a good platformer, fully utilizing the PS5's features and delivering great levels. I don't think they necessarily needed the PlayStation nostalgia and history to make a good game, as what's here is fantastic even without it. If they wanted to create another Astro game without relying on nostalgia, I feel it would still be successful, and they could produce a great game. They could even create a whole new IP. Their capabilities in platforming are evident. A 94 on Metacritic is very hard to attain, especially in a genre typically dominated by Nintendo. Astro has come out and said, "Hey, look at our game. It's phenomenal." This is comparable to a Mario game regarding level design and execution. That's amazing, and I hope to see more of that in the future. I will definitely support any Team Asobi projects moving forward. So is Tomb Raider Remastered worth it? Here is what The Verge had to say. From Ash Parrish's review, it delivers a heavy dose of nostalgia, but may not appeal to everyone, especially if you're used to modern gaming conventions. The clunky controls and dated mechanics are a big drawback, even though the remaster allows you to remap buttons and choose between original tank controls and modern controls. However, even with these updates, the gameplay still feels awkward at times. On the plus side, the atmosphere and tension of Tomb Raider 2 remain intact, with suspenseful moments and iconic set pieces that can still evoke strong feelings of dread and excitement. Ash highlights the remaster's graphics, where you can switch between upscaled textures and the old PSX graphics with the press of a button, which is a nice touch for fans of the original games. If you're into reliving classic moments, like finding secrets or taking down enemies in familiar locations, this remaster does capture that sense of nostalgia. But overall, if you're expecting a smooth, modern experience, it might not live up to those expectations. Whether or not Tomb Raider Remastered is worth it will depend on how much patience you have with old-school platformers and your emotional connection to the series. It looks like Delta Force is back with a vengeance, and this time it's aiming to compete with the big guns like Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, Battlefield, and even Escape from Tarkov. If you remember the old-school Delta Force games, especially Black Hawk Down from 2003, this new version is basically a modern reboot, with some online warfare modes mixed in to keep things fresh. What's got people really talking is the game's first public playtest, which dropped on October 14th and has been making waves. In just 24 hours, it hit a peak of 37,153 players on Steam, which is pretty huge, considering that it's beating out games like Helldivers 2 and even Battlefield 5 in terms of player counts. Delta Force offers 2 online modes: Hazard Operations, a tactical extraction-style game, and Havoc Warfare, which is more of a 64-player, large-scale battle, kind of like Battlefield. The full game, once released, will also bring back the Black Hawk Down campaign, which was inspired by Ridley Scott's movie about the Battle of Mogadishu. But for now, you can hop into the free playtest on Steam and see what all the hype is about. The numbers already suggest this shooter has some serious staying power. Sony has announced that 18 games will be leaving the PlayStation Plus catalog on November 18th, including popular titles like Red Dead Redemption 2, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas The Definitive Edition, and The Sims 4 City Living. The game rotation system is standard for PlayStation Plus, with new titles added each month. Once a game is removed, players can only access it if they claimed it before. As long as players have downloaded a game while available, they can keep playing it with an active subscription. This monthly rotation helps keep the catalog fresh and encourages players to explore different genres. Red Dead Redemption 2, added to PS Plus in May, is the biggest loss this month. Regarded as one of the best open-world games, its departure will be felt by many. Similarly, GTA San Andreas, the definitive edition, Mansion and The Sims 4 City Living are notable exits, with the latter offering a city life experience. Personally, I'm not going to miss these games. While Red Dead Redemption 2 is significant, I've owned it since day one, so I'm not worried. PS Plus is still a great service. I'm currently enjoying Dead Island 2. However, I always say not to rely on PS Plus Extra to keep your favorite games. Titles like RDR2, GTA 5, God of War, and Spider-Man 2 are must-haves anyway. But in the end of the day, that's just my opinion. Before we dive into this topic, I need to make a quick disclaimer. Some people accuse me of clickbaiting, lying, or being a Sony pony, or a woke defender, despite the fact that I have plenty of videos criticizing forced diversity. For instance, I have a 12-minute video discussing why some women have issues with men, and why certain individuals might not belong in the gaming industry. But that doesn't mean all women. It refers to a specific type of person. The thing is, I report on what's actually happening, and I'm passionate about separating fact from fiction. And yes, I frequently disagree with major outlets like Digital Foundry, but the great thing about the truth is that it always comes out in the end. It takes courage to speak the truth these days, just like it takes courage to be a PlayStation fan. But facts are facts, and I'm not afraid to share them. On the subject of clickbaiting, please, if I wanted to clickbait or rage bait, I wouldn't even be making this kind of content. I'd just jump on the anti-woke trend because that's what's popular right now. I could churn out 15-minute word salad videos all day long and grow my channel 5 times faster, but I don't care about that. I care about the truth. Yes, I do make mistakes sometimes, and I always do my best to address them. I'm not a politician, and I'm not going to pretend I'm always right. When rumors about the PS5 Pro delay started circulating, every YouTuber was quick to make videos on it. You guys asked me in the comments, the PS5 Pro is delayed. Why aren't you talking about it? I replied in the comments pointing out that the rumor came from 3 words. If it releases, said by Tom Henderson. The internet blew up over that. 8 hours later, Henderson published a full article explaining how his words had been taken out of context. Similarly, GTA 6 was supposedly delayed 17 times this year, and 17 times Rockstar devs and insiders clarified it's not delayed. The truth is the truth. It might not get me 100,000 subscribers overnight, but I'm fine with that. If I wanted quick views, I'd talk about how gaming sucks, PlayStation sucks, and push anti-woke content. Now, with that out of the way, let's address the comment accusing me of being disingenuous about The Witcher 4 and CDPR going woke. The drama surrounding CD Projekt Red, CDPR, continues to unfold, and recent discussions highlight a significant departure of key talent following the problematic launch of Cyberpunk 2077 back in 2021. According to a video breakdown by Legacy Kill HD, at least 11 high-ranking directors and department leads exited CDPR around that time. This includes influential figures like John Mames, the studio head and executive producer, as well as Konrad Tomaskiewicz, who directed The Witcher 3. These departures raise concerns about internal leadership stability, especially when it involves names so deeply connected to the success of The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077. Other key talent who left included quest directors, cinematic directors, senior producers, and engine programmers, some of whom were seen as essential to CDPR's innovation and storytelling in past projects. Adding fuel to the controversy, CDPR's public approach to hiring and talent development has sparked debate. The company's diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) policies have been brought into the spotlight. Their official page on DEI openly discusses how they aim to foster a diverse workforce to drive creativity and innovation. This approach has led some to claim that CDPR prioritizes equitable practices over merit-based hiring, further complicating the narrative around why top talent left the studio. This situation is further compounded by CDPR's own internal initiatives promoting inclusivity, such as offering menstrual leave benefits and aligning itself with broader social change efforts. Some critics argue that these DEI initiatives may have created friction internally, while others see it as a progressive move to foster a healthier work environment. However, these moves have also sparked discussions on whether they were distracting from core development efforts. Okay, here's my take because I think things are getting taken too far sometimes. Just because a company says they're okay with inclusivity, that they're not homophobic, or that they want to create a safe space for women with things like menstrual leave, that doesn't automatically make them woke. We don't even have a trailer for Witcher 4 yet, so why are we jumping to conclusions? And I've seen people in the comments saying, oh, but Endymion says it. Yeah, Endymion, the god of anti-woke. Everything he says is gold, right? Look, I'm not here to discredit Endymion. I've quoted him before, and sometimes he has good insights, but a lot of the time it's 3 to 4 minutes of substance and 20 minutes of speculation. What really pissed me off was when there wasn't much drama or people got tired of the Black Samurai topic and the guy started taking swings at Arrowhead's Helldivers 2, saying it was going woke because the devs mentioned they welcome all players and don't want hate or discrimination in their game. If you're a public or large private company, you have to put out those kinds of press releases for the public and investors. But Endymion made a 25-minute video calling them woke and claiming people were leaving the game because of it. Daniel, the editor who has 600 hours in the game, called him a complete idiot. The truth is, Endymion dropped that video during the worst update ever, when they nerfed a bunch of favorite weapons and broke the spawn system, leaving even the best players overwhelmed. That's why people left the game at that time. But no, here comes the anti-woke crowd accusing Helldivers 2 of being woke because they said everyone is welcome to play. Seriously, fuck off with that. And if you're going to call me woke or label me with DEI bullshit, I'll tell you to your face. Go fuck yourself. Yep, I just cursed. I'm a loud one in the video, right? I'm really getting sick and tired of this witch hunt going around lately. This article feels like nothing more than a string of conspiracy theories, trying to spin a narrative that Ubisoft intentionally sabotaged its own game to give Tencent a better shot at a takeover. Think about how absurd this sounds. Why would Ubisoft intentionally tank its reputation by promoting a character like Yasuke just to cause public outrage and hurt their own business? Sure, there may be some questionable decisions or corporate strategies, but suggesting that a company would go to such extremes, especially with no solid proof, feels like a huge stretch. Endymion's claims about Tencent pushing Ubisoft toward using Yasuke as the protagonist sound more like wild speculation than something rooted in facts. Ubisoft has been experimenting with different settings and protagonists for years, and they're always trying to diversify their games, whether people like it or not. The real reason Assassin's Creed Shadows hasn't been as well received made a huge number of cultural blunders, I guess I'll call them such as using the flag of a real-life Sekigahara reenactment group without permission, or more recently, merchandising a figurine that has Yasuke posing in front of a one-legged torii gate, which is best known for being a monument in Nagasaki commemorating the loss of life when America dropped the second atomic bomb. And come on, the idea that Tencent orchestrated this whole thing to swoop in and buy Ubisoft on the cheap is straight-up conspiracy territory. The corporate world is messy, sure, but attributing delays or game flops solely to a shadowy takeover agenda is reaching too far. Delays happen all the time in this industry for various reasons, like polishing the game or dealing with internal development challenges. To say these are all part of some buyout plot feels like fear-mongering. Even this idea of Tencent burning the house down and then offering to rebuild it just feels like a dramatic analogy rather than anything grounded in evidence. Companies make mistakes, games underperform, and sometimes there are takeover bids. But turning every decision into part of some massive orchestrated downfall doesn't hold water, especially without solid proof. Endymion, and those who believe this stuff, seem to thrive on stirring the pot with these exaggerated narratives. It's like they're just looking for reasons to connect dots that aren't there. While I agree Ubisoft has its own set of issues, and maybe Tencent has some interest in gaining more control, claiming that promoting Yasuke was a calculated move to devalue the company sounds like nothing more than a tinfoil hat conspiracy.
Turns out there's a lot of games that are woke out. Oh, shit, man. The Dark Souls series is, well, Dark Souls has only been moderately compromised, okay? Gwendolyn was born a male but raised as a female and given clothes and a magic ring to help him act like a female. At least they're familiar with the lore to a certain extent. It is tragic that the entire Dark Souls trilogy contains some woke stuff, guys. I can't recommend that. Helldivers 2, though, contains subtly pro-DEI messaging. How? What is the DEI message? The intro notably features a mixed-race family? That's like, to these people, that's like a warning flag. Is that kind of insane? No clear distinction between male or female aside from voice options. But they have helmets on and body armor and I don't get it. I don't get these people. Counter-Strike 2 is not woke. As long as we're killing terrorists, that is A-okay. Cyberpunk, obviously that's going to be woke. Left 4 Dead series is not. Wait a minute. How?
Lastly, I want to talk about PlayStation 6 and the future of backwards compatibility. By the time the PlayStation 6 arrives, it will be capable of playing games from 3 generations: PS4, PS5, and PS6. However, the PS6 will likely mirror the PS3's approach, offering similarities across generations. Consoles maintain advantages over PCs, such as bulk manufacturing and collaboration with AMD, allowing them to optimize performance without straightforward comparisons. The PS6 will support PS6 software, PS5 Pro settings, PS4 Pro settings, and base PS4 games. The introduction of PSVR could enhance older titles, possibly improving their performance. A dream scenario would be a comprehensive PlayStation console that plays all previous PlayStation games, including handhelds. However, practical concerns like licensing issues and the need for legacy hardware like UMDs for PSP complicate this idea. Currently, the rollout of classic games on PSN has been slow, focusing mainly on Sony IPs. While it's essential to restore classic titles, licensing challenges hinder broader access to older games. The PS6 may introduce better emulation for PS3 titles, which have struggled historically. Looking ahead, the foundation laid by the PS4 and PS5 will significantly impact game availability and performance. By the time the PS6 launches, we could see various remasters and ports enriching the library, providing pro settings for older titles. Despite concerns about monetization and the live service model, the introduction of new hardware continues to yield positive outcomes for gaming. The PS3 was a complex machine, and the PS6 may finally provide the emulation capabilities for its library. Ultimately, I'm optimistic about the PS6 and the ongoing evolution of gaming. The digital storefront is expanding rather than expiring, although licensing issues remain a concern. Having local playback alongside a comprehensive digital library would be ideal.